I want to try something with you. I want you to do a little calculation in your head. If you step off the roof of a 10-story building, how long do you have before you hit the ground? Most people guess 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Some people think you would be falling for almost a minute. We have seen it in the movies. The camera follows someone falling, and the music plays, and there is time for their whole life to flash before their eyes. The real answer is about 2.5 seconds. That is all. 2.5 seconds between the roof and the pavement. The building is roughly 30 meters tall. Gravity accelerates you at 9.8 meters per second squared. We use the equation distance equals 1/2 times acceleration times time squared. Plug in 30 meters. Solve for time. You get approximately 2.47 seconds. In those 2.5 seconds, you go from standing still to moving at about 24 meters per second. That is 87 kilometers per hour, the speed of a car on a highway. And then you stop. Instantly, in less than 1/100th of a second, your velocity goes from 87 to 0. The deceleration force on your body is roughly 240 times the force of gravity. Your bones shatter, your organs rupture, your brain impacts the inside of your skull. I tell you these numbers not to be morbid, but because they matter. They matter because your brain knows these numbers, not consciously, not mathematically, but your brain has calculated the cost of falling with exquisite precision over 60 million years of primate evolution. Every ancestor who survived a fall passed on the genes that made them terrified of falling. Every ancestor who was not sufficiently terrified fell and died, and their genes went nowhere. You carry the terror of 60 million years of falling primates inside your nervous system right now. And that terror is so deep, so fundamental, so thoroughly wired into the architecture of your brain that it operates even when you are unconscious, even when you are asleep, even when there is nothing to fall from and nowhere to fall to. And that is where our question begins, because something happens during sleep that should be impossible. Your brain simulates a fall. Your body reacts as if the fall is real, and then you wake up. Every human on earth has experienced this, and almost nobody understands what is actually happening. Now, let me start with what everyone gets wrong, because there are 3 popular explanations, and I want to eliminate them one by one. Wrong answer number 1. It is just a random muscle spasm. Your body is relaxing as you fall asleep. The muscles are loosening up, and sometimes a muscle fires randomly. A little glitch, a hiccup, nothing meaningful. This sounds reasonable, but it cannot be right. And here is why. If the jerk were random, it would happen without any dream content. You would just twitch and wake up, but that is not what happens. What happens is specific. You dream of falling first, then you jerk. The dream precedes the movement. The sensation of falling comes before the twitch. This is not random, this is sequential. Something is causing something else. The spasm is not generating the dream. The dream is generating the spasm. Those are 2 very different things. In 2016, a research team at the University of Colorado monitored subjects with polysomnography, full brain monitoring, EEG, EMG, EOG, the works. They found that hypnic jerks associated with falling dreams were preceded by specific patterns of brain activity in the motor cortex. The motor cortex was issuing commands, real motor commands. The jerk was not noise, it was signal. The brain was telling the body to do something, and the body was obeying. So we can throw out the random spasm theory. Something deliberate is happening. Wrong answer number 2. Your brain thinks you are dying. When you fall asleep, your heart rate drops, your blood pressure drops, your breathing slows. And some people claim that the brain interprets this as death. The systems are shutting down. The brain panics. It creates a falling sensation to jolt you awake and restart the heart, like a defibrillator. This is a clever idea, but it also fails. Here is the problem. If the brain were responding to dropping heart rate and blood pressure, The hypnic jerk should happen every single time you fall asleep. Your vitals drop every time. But the falling dream does not happen every time. It happens sporadically, unpredictably. Some nights you get one. Some nights you get one. Some nights you get three. Some nights you get none. Whatever is triggering this event, it is not the routine physiological changes of sleep onset. Furthermore, the timing is wrong. Your heart rate and blood pressure drop gradually over minutes as you fall asleep. But the hypnic jerk happens suddenly in a fraction of a second. The speeds do not match. A gradual decline cannot cause a sudden convulsion. Something else is going on. Wrong answer number 3. It is just stress. You are anxious. You are worried about your job or your relationship. The falling dream is a metaphor, a symbol. Your subconscious is expressing a feeling of losing control. I have nothing against psychology, but this is not a psychological question. This is a question about neurons and signals and muscles and reflexes. The falling dream is not a metaphor. It is a neuromuscular event that involves specific brain regions producing specific electrical outputs. Calling it a metaphor is like calling a thunderstorm a metaphor for anger. The storm is real. The lightning is real. The thunder is real. Whether you also find it symbolic is your business, but it does not explain the physics. So all 3 popular explanations fail. The spasm is not random. The brain is not responding to dropping vitals. And the dream is not merely symbolic. Now let me tell you what is actually happening. And for this, I need to take you inside the sleeping brain. When you close your eyes and begin to drift off, your brain enters a transition state. You are not fully awake and you are not fully asleep. Neuroscientists call this hypnagogia. It is a borderland, a no man's land between consciousness and unconsciousness. During this transition, something very specific happens in your brainstem. A region called the ventrolateral preoptic nucleus begins to inhibit the arousal centers of the brain. It is like a dimmer switch being turned down. The reticular activating system, which keeps you alert and aware, is being gradually shut off. But here is the critical detail. The shutdown is not instantaneous, it takes time. And during that time, different systems of your brain are shutting down at different rates. Your sensory processing dims. Your logical reasoning fades. Your sense of time distorts. But your motor system, the part that controls movement, is still partially online. And your vestibular system, the part of your inner ear that detects gravity and acceleration and balance, is going through its own transition. As your muscles relax, the signals from your proprioceptive system change. Proprioception is your sense of where your body is in space. You know where your arms are, even with your eyes closed, because of proprioception. And as your muscles relax, these proprioceptive signals shift. Now, here is where it gets fascinating. Your brain is receiving changing signals from the vestibular and proprioceptive systems. The signals are saying something is changing. Something about our orientation is shifting. And the brain, which is already half asleep, which has already lost most of its critical thinking capacity, interprets these shifting signals as motion, as falling. Remember what I told you earlier. Your brain sits in a dark box. It never experiences reality directly. It only gets electrical signals through nerves. And right now, during this transition state, the signals are ambiguous. They could mean you are lying down, relaxing, or they could mean you are falling. And here is the key. The brain has been programmed by 60 million years of evolution to err on the side of danger. If there is any ambiguity, if the signals could mean falling, the brain assumes falling, because the cost of being wrong in one direction is that you twitch in bed. The cost of being wrong in the other direction is that you die. Evolution has made the calculation. It is better to wake up 1,000 times for nothing than to sleep through one real fall. So the brain constructs a falling dream, not randomly, not symbolically, but as a direct interpretation of ambiguous sensory data. The vestibular signals are uncertain. The proprioceptive signals are shifting. The brain, half asleep and stripped of its critical reasoning, takes the cautious interpretation. We are falling. And then it does exactly what it should do. It sends an emergency motor command. Catch yourself. Now let me tell you about the paralysis, because this is where the story takes its darkest turn. In 1953, Eugene Azarinsky and Nathaniel Kleitman at the University of Chicago discovered REM sleep. They found that several times per night, roughly every 90 minutes, the brain enters a state of intense activity. The eyes dart back and forth beneath the lids. The EEG looks almost identical to a waking brain, and vivid dreams occur. But here is the astonishing part. During REM sleep, your brain actively paralyzes your body. A structure in the brainstem called the sublaterodorsal nucleus sends signals through the spinal cord that inhibit your motor neurons. Your voluntary muscles are shut down completely. You cannot move your arms. You cannot move your legs. You cannot move your fingers. You are locked inside your own body. Why? Because during REM, your brain is generating motor commands as part of the dream. If you dream of running, your motor cortex is firing the exact same patterns it would fire if you were actually running. If you dream of throwing a ball, the same neurons activate as would activate during a real throw. The commands are real. The signals are genuine. The only thing preventing you from leaping out of bed and sprinting into a wall is this chemical paralysis. In 1965, Michel Jouvet at the University of Lyon proved this in the most dramatic way possible. He took cats and destroyed the tiny region of the brainstem responsible for REM paralysis. The cats could still sleep normally. They could still enter REM. They could still dream. But their bodies were no longer locked down. The results were extraordinary. The sleeping cats stood up. They walked around the laboratory with their eyes closed. While completely asleep, they stalked invisible prey. They pounced on things that were not there. They arched their backs and hissed at imaginary threats. One cat crouched and crept forward with the slow, deliberate focus of a hunting animal, then exploded into a leap at nothing, at empty air. These cats were showing us what dreams look like from the outside. They were revealing that the dream is not a passive movie playing on a screen. The dream is a full simulation. Every motor command, every action, every response, all being generated in real time by the sleeping brain. The only difference between dreaming and doing is the paralysis. Now come back to the falling dream. You are in the hypnagogic transition. Your brain has interpreted ambiguous vestibular signals as falling. It sends an emergency command. Grab something. Catch yourself. This command races down from the motor cortex, but the paralysis system is not fully engaged yet. You are in the transition zone. The lockdown is incomplete. The sublaterodorsal nucleus is still warming up. And this command, this ancient evolutionary scream of save yourself, is the highest priority signal the motor system can generate. It is louder than the paralysis. It breaks through. Your arm flies out. Your leg kicks. Your back arches. Every muscle in your body fires simultaneously in a massive coordinated spasm. This is the hypnic jerk. And it is not a malfunction. It is your brain executing a survival reflex so old and so deep that it overrides the sleep paralysis system itself. And then comes the awakening, because now the brain has a catastrophic contradiction. The dream says falling through space. The muscles say, I just twitched against a mattress. The proprioceptive feedback says, I am lying in bed. These signals are incompatible. And the brain, faced with contradictory survival data, does the only safe thing. It wakes you up. This is the answer. This is why the falling dream wakes you up. Not because of stress, not because of random spasms, not because your heart is stopping. You wake up because your brain generated a threat simulation. issued a real motor command, the command broke through incomplete paralysis. The resulting muscle movement created sensory feedback that contradicted the dream, and your brain resolved the contradiction by terminating sleep. It is a cascade, a chain of events, each link connected to the next by neuroscience and physics and evolution. But now I want to take you one step deeper, because there is something about this that is genuinely disturbing, and it is not the jerk. It is not the jerk. It is what this reveals about the nature of experience itself. Your brain just proved something. It proved that it can generate a complete sensory experience, vision, motion, acceleration, terror, that is indistinguishable from reality. Your heart could not tell the difference. Your muscles could not tell the difference. Your stress hormones could not tell the difference. Every system in your body responded to the dream fall exactly as it would have responded to a real fall. And the reason is simple and terrible. The signals are identical. The electrical impulses that travel down your nerves during a dream are made of the same stuff as the impulses that travel during waking. They are the same voltage. They travel the same pathways. They activate the same synapses. There is no flag, no marker, no stamp that says real or imaginary. The brain cannot tell. It has no mechanism for telling. Let me give you a number that makes this concrete. A single neuron in your motor cortex fires an action potential at about 100 millivolts. That is the same 100 millivolts whether you are reaching for a real cup of coffee on your desk or reaching for an imaginary cup of coffee in a dream. The signal is physically identical. And this means something that most people do not want to think about. It means that your entire experience of reality is a construction, a model, a simulation that your brain is running based on electrical inputs. When the inputs come from outside through your senses, the model mostly matches the world. When the inputs come from inside, from memory and imagination, the model is a dream. But the model is always there. You never experience raw reality. You only ever experience the brain's interpretation of reality. Now I know what Descartes would say. He sat in his room in 1641 and he asked the same question. How do I know I am not dreaming right now? He could not find a satisfying answer. And in 4 centuries since then, neither has anyone else. Every test you propose can be simulated by a sufficiently detailed dream. But I am not a philosopher, I am a physicist. And what interests me is not the philosophical argument, but the physical mechanism. The mechanism is this. Your brain builds a world. It builds it when you are awake.